Hello YouTube, Southern Wolverine here with more 3 versus 3 Rome 2 Total War multiplayer action. And we are now in patch 9, which seems to be something of a smaller change than previous patches. I haven't seen a whole lot of effect of the supposed rebalancing of units yet. The list is in the patch notes, check it out if you're interested in such things. There are some new units though, which I will get to in a second. So here, from the viewpoint of the general of my Egyptian army, I have my African war elephants. I have only 2 units of cavalry, but they're both these very capable units of Ptolemaic cav in the backfield here. I have 4 units of light peltasts, 2 units of thorax swords, and 2 units of these sobekultists, who are one of the new units. See, they're so cool that they wear alligator skins. They also have both scare enemies and encourage. So some good abilities on those guys. They are, if you see, they're an understrength unit. We're on ultra unit settings here, so they're only 80, whereas most of the units are 160. And then I have 2 units of Thurio spears flanking a line of 3 units of pikemen. And my very leading element of skirmishers is these dirt cheap Egyptian slingers who are basically out here simply to eat missile fire so that they can die before people who I actually care about. Alright, and here is Drago's army. Yeah, we're just going to skim through this real quick. You kind of get the idea. Lots and lots and lots. And lots and lots and lots and lots of Soviet cultists. Backed up by 1 unit of African war elephants and a single unit of Egyptian cavalry. Over here, this is Patrick's army. He has hoplites protecting the flanks of a line of, looks like 5 thorax pikemen, backed up by some Agrianian axemen, who are very capable skirmishers for Macedon, and 4 units of slingers out in front. And is out on the flank here. He's got a unit of Tarentine cavalry, and his general and 1 other unit back here are companion cavalry. Alright. So I was a little afraid that either Baktria or the Seleucids, since that's all we're playing, Seleucids, Baktria, and Seleucids, would take some elephants or chariots and simply be able to stomp Drago into the ground. Fortunately, that didn't happen, so we have elephants and they don't. I'm a little worried over here about this force of 3 units of Hellenic cataphracts. I'm less worried about the main force, because my pikes should beat these levy pikes, although he has more levy pikes. But Silver Shield Swords are a pretty good melee unit. And he has 5 units of peltasts, who can definitely do some solid, or 4 units of peltasts, 1 unit of Egyptian, or Eastern javelins, sorry. That can actually do some pretty good damage to my, pike line. So I'm trying to work them down, hit them with these Egyptian slingers, try and take out some of these javelins. And you can see about how well it's going to go for these slingers. They're just not really ready for this kind of fight. But every javelin shot at these guys saves a unit that I actually care about. So sorry guys, you've done your job well, and that is to die and run away. But a lot of javelins spent there. I was kind of hoping they would do some damage, but no such luck. So 2 units of Hellenic cataphracts are trying to flank me, so I've moved my elephants, my spears to that side. The other unit has gone and run a strike here in the middle, I suppose, to help finish off my slingers. So I'm going to move up my pikes to try to keep them from hitting my melee troops badly. And they got a lot of javelins on them, so you see they actually lost more than a quarter of the unit, even in that short amount of time. Meanwhile, Drago's just pushing all of his swords up into here to try to slam into the rear of the Seleucid army. Let me drop to slow motion over here. Okay, there are some elephants and Hellenic cataphracts over here in the other Seleucid army. He also has a line of levy pikes backed up by javelin men with some capable royal peltas units as his melee line. So a very similar build to the other Seleucid player. Although his general's a unit of a Cav, which I find to be an interesting choice. Personally, I would have made these guys the Hellenic cataphracts, but the Cav are still a pretty solid unit. And Baktria has some Bactrian horse archers coming around the flank. Looks like 3 units of them. He's got a bunch of these scale thorax hoplites, who are a pretty good hoplite unit. Not top of the line, but cost effective. And he's got some of these very nasty Bactrian peltasts and Persian light archers. He's also got some royal cav. He's got a unit of elephants of his own. I realized I said no elephants. I meant the army in front of me had no elephants. Sorry if I was misleading on that. And we got a couple of thorax pikemen over here in this Bactrian army, who are better than my pikemen. So right now, all these peltasts, I was able to kind of catch them up on my pikes and with these units of Sobek cultists. So I don't know, he might have had those guys in, trying to manually skirmish with them, and it didn't work out terribly well. My elephants are getting into the flank of these pikes. See, they already routed 1 unit of them, even though they're at more than half strength. And there's an ongoing cavalry fight over here between some of the Hellenic cataphracts and the Ptolemaic cav, which my war elephants visited briefly before moving on. So my elephants are making another pass. They're going to sort of smack through these guys, although they do get into pike formation and take out one of my elephants. But then they go ahead and run into what's left of these levy pikemen here. As Dragos just got all these melee units just coming around the flank. Look at these guys with their alligator hats and cloaks, just chopping these guys up. So yeah, these Silver Shield swords are a pretty good unit, but they're fighting an awful lot of these, Sobek cultist units. And I'm bringing my cultists into the fight also. They're around here somewhere. Sorry, my thorax swordsmen were into that fight. So now here's what we were worried about. These, the Bactrian war elephants came in and ran a strike and did some good damage. So Dragos used his own war elephants to try to run them off, while his Sobek cultists are pushing the advantage. I'm kind of focused on this cavalry fight and just trying to keep my units moving forward, to keep Drago from getting totally surrounded by pikes and elephants and things like that. So my pike line is continually moving up, and my swords and cavalry are going to start pushing to either flank. So the Seleucid player in front of me is pretty much destroyed at this point. He's got a unit of Hellenic cataphracts that's fighting some Thurio spears, and my Ptolemaic cav are going to join that fight as well. And this Bactrian army is fighting an awful lot of Sobek cultists and also fighting my pikes. So these thorax pikes are badly depleted. They're not going to be able to hold against the even inferior pike unit. And these Royal Cav were fighting Dragos elephants and did a pretty good job on them in combination with these Bactrian horse archers. But they're getting in here now, where all my light peltasts with plenty of ammunition left are able to hurl lots of javelins into them. And that's not going to be a good time for them. So I wasn't able to skirmish with this. So you see, I had 6 skirmish units. I wasn't able to extend the skirmishing phase like I would have liked. But I'm still able to get good use out of them. You see this Bactrian Royal Cav unit starting to take some significant losses and wavering against pretty much nothing but missile fire. And we got 1 unit of Patrick's Hoplites somehow got over here fighting all these guys. And they're going to hold for a surprisingly long amount of time, considering how much they're fighting against here. Meanwhile, these 2 armies are sort of facing off, and Patrick has used his thorax swords to flank this pike line. He's able to get in here before the Seleucid player realizes what's happening. I guess he must be focused over here on this cavalry engagement with these elephants and things like that. And now these elephants are getting hit by companion cavalry and these Agrianian axemen. So these guys are going down pretty quick. They're not able to accomplish all that much. So see, they had 120 kills, I think it was. Which is not bad, but not what you would have hoped out of that unit. So now his last unit of cavalry over here is these Ajima cavalry, and he's being outflanked. So we're looking pretty good across the board here. One thing I am trying to deal with right now is these African war elephants, or the Bactrian, whatever they are here. The Bactrian noble horse. So I got my elephants in here beating them up. My pikes are here, keeping them back. Horse archers are still being a little bit of a problem, but I've got what's left of my slingers shooting at them. And the last unit of, what is this? Levy pikes over here got surrounded from multiple directions by Ptolemaic cav and Thurio spears. So we got this area pretty well wrapped up. Right now it's just a matter of hurling lots and lots of Soviet cultists into this melee against the the scale thorax pikes. And this is kind of a big grind out fight, so you can't even hardly see any of the one-on-one duels going on. We'll try and get in here and get some decent close-ups while we can. I do like the alligator cloaks with the blood all over. Makes them look that much more intimidating. So these hoplites really don't have a whole lot of a chance. You see my thorax swords are in there also. They're not going to be able to hold long against this. Now with Drago's, all his Soviet cultists coming in too. You see, these guys have done so much damage, they've actually got 2 experience chevrons now. You saw it there. There they are. See if you can see how much damage they've done. Can't find them. Well, in any case, we're wrapping this up pretty effectively. And Patrick is also winning his fight. This basically became a one-on-one over here. So these levy pikes are, of course, being beaten by thorax pikes. This was a bit aggressive on this guy's part to bring him in. But I guess he saw he was losing the cavalry fight, and his skirmishers are pretty beat up too. So he decided apparently that he had no other choice and had to send them in. He was probably expecting them to hold a little bit longer so that these royal peltists could pull off a flank maneuver. But by the time they are making their attack, they are also going to be facing the front of these thorax pikes. Meanwhile, you see some dead guys here. My light peltists were shooting them in the back with javelins too. So they're really, you know, even though this unit's spread out real thin, it's not maybe the best formation for fighting these swords. They're going to hold them back pretty well. So these royal peltists aren't going to achieve a whole lot on this flank attack, simply because the pikes didn't last long enough in the front and these units were able to turn. Or this unit at least was able to turn. See, there's a good wave of javelins, just messing these guys up from behind. Aww. And so they're pretty much done now as well. And you can basically see the writing on the wall at this point, as my Ptolemaic cav run a nice hammer and anvil on this unit of royal peltists. And my other unit of cavalry over here is attempting to come to grips with his general's Ajima cavalry. Ajima Cav's going to run away, and well, not run away, but attempt to attack these axemen who have already definitely done their job. So I'll instead hammer and anvil this other unit of royal peltists that's already routing, and they're going to shatter. And that's all she wrote. So here we'll just do a quick look at the replay screen. See, I had fewest loss, most kills. The opposing armies all suffered 1,500 casualties or more, which is pretty devastating. The elephants obviously had a good run. They got a good flank attack off. They were involved in a lot of fights coming and going. The cavalry also, the Ptolemaic cav did pretty well. The skirmishers, or the slingers, pretty much did what I expected to, which was die. The light peltists did reasonably well, though, especially this unit, 217 kills. Pikes were there to hold the line. And this unit of Sobek cultists was the one that got hit a little bit by that Hellenic cataphract charge, but the other one did reasonably well, 79 kills, considering it's only an 80-man unit. Not half bad at all. Drago's army, it was a ridiculous army. So he was all over the board, anywhere from 0 kills with this Sobek cultist to 179 with this one. Just depends on who they ended up fighting. If they got hit by elephants, they went away. If they got into the back of pikes, they did a lot of damage. And Patrick did pretty well also. His cavalry pretty much was destroyed, but his axemen did a decent amount of damage. Slingers did quite a bit of damage, actually, surprising. And his pikes thrashed the pikes that came up against them. The only thing that really got beat to hell was his swords and his hoplites, who were basically just a holding force anyway. I won't really go through the opposing armies other than say that Baktria's elephants did quite well, but he wasn't able to get all that much out of his horse archers. And this was my direct opponent, and he was hoping to get a lot out of his Hellenic cataphracts and his, where are they? His silver shield swords, but they weren't able to accomplish a whole lot, as these guys got hit by lots of missiles, and then I was able to get my pikes into him, of all things. and the Silver Shield swords were just swamped by Sotek cultists. So in any case, thanks once again to Comrade Drago and Patrick O'Brien for playing with me in a multiplayer game, and a good game to Mathematicians Play Strong, I guess it is. Play STR. Good game to J Skeleton, and good game to Draconem S. So, if you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I am Southern Wolverine, coming to you with Rome 2 Total War, and wishing you all a good day.